New Mac Mini is the Bluetooth. Good morning, guys. So today's conversation is going to be about eBay constraints. And this is big because if you were to ask me what's the most common thing about people making a full-time living on YouTube or on eBay, and usually, oddly, it's that they have a full-time job. So why is it that people who have a full-time job make a full-time living on eBay? And the reason, one, they have a little more capital because they are working. So eBay, they can leave the money in it to reinvest. And then secondly, I think they're pretty good at time management already. So this is why me hiring people, the people I find that do the best are the people who already have a job, or they're a student, or they already have time management skills. If they reply back, oh, I can work anytime, I'm free all day, those are the worst people because they don't have any time management. Why are you free all day? If I said come in at 11 p.m., would you come in? Like, I want to talk about constraints today. What are you doing to improve time? And this is a great starter with Patty, who asked me, what is my problem with my packing? So this is a good place to start. So I'm constrained by time, and packing in my current system. Actually, these are my current systems. Either I I get one of those poly mailers with the sticky strip, peel that off, close it. If I do that, it takes roughly 30 to 40 seconds an item to pack it and put it away in the bin. And that's including putting it away all the way back to the spot in my storage where I put it. So 30 to 40 seconds. Now, if I use the impulse sealer, then it takes the same amount of time, but there's no sticky thing. So I don't have those sticky things all over my warehouse. So like that's actually a plus. I'm okay if it takes the same amount of time and there's no cleanup and those things aren't everywhere. But
Does
I
does
want it
it
to actually be
still move
faster.
around a lot?
No, not at all.
How'd you fix that?
What do you mean? Does it move
You
around?
had said when you first bought it that when after you did a couple, sealed a couple, that
Hmm.
actual machine would move around a little.
Oh, I just put a towel underneath the machine. So it just increases the friction and it doesn't move anymore. So um, I think it was because the floor of my storage space is not even. So once I just gave a little more friction, that doesn't move anymore. But it didn't save me any time. So what I'm thinking is, so I factored the time. If I'm paying somebody $15 an hour to pack the item and it takes 30 seconds, they can only do 60 an hour. So I'm paying 25 cents an item to pack it. That's way too much money. I'm only paying 5 cents for the paper mailer, and then 2 cents for the I'm sorry, 5 cents for the bag, 2 cents for the thank you card. I'm in at 7 cents. How can I pay 25 cents for just to put it in the bag? So I don't know how to solve that, but this is a good constraint because what's more important is actually a faster packing process. That's cheaper. So if I bought a 10-cent poly mailer that that I could just put into the bag in 1 second, that would be huge. That would be a huge plus. So now I'm actually researching the kind of bags. Go ahead, Christine.
I'm wondering, are you including in your packing time the actual amount of time that it takes to fold a shirt or a pair
Yeah,
of jeans?
definitely.
How are they folding the shirts?
The way they're folding the shirts is like the Marie Kondo style. So they pull it up, and then it looks like the retail location where the front of the shirt is facing forward. And that part of it is not the slow part. It's it's the sealing the bag part that takes the longest.
But I wonder if your girls are putting stick pins to hold the
Yeah.
shirt up most of the
Hmm.
time. What I've been doing, and it's actually increased my time,
Okay.
is I leave the shirt up there. And if it's a shirt, I don't do jeans because jeans, I don't
Yeah.
do. But I just go ahead and fold the arms in, take the pins out, fold it back in, take the other pins that are right here by the neck out, flip the bottom up, and I've got it ready to go in my bag.
Okay. I like that. That's basically folding it against the surface.
Yeah, and you don't
Yeah.
have to take it out and then to get it around and all that other stuff. So
Yeah.
it's just right there on the sticky board.
That's an improvement, definitely. So what we were doing, which is not better, and guys, everyone in the chat or in YouTube to write something in the comment section that you need to constrain. What do you need to reduce? What can you remove from your schedule? What people suck out of your life and you can delete them? Put all that stuff in the comment section below because I want to get a long list of ideas to get rid of things that don't matter. Okay, thank you, Christine. So essentially, as I sell clothing, the item is on the thing, you fold it and put it away. So I timed it. It takes me less than an hour to ship 100 items. Part of that is because the item is in that clear poly mailer and it's so easy to pick. So that part of it is really fast. And you can see Matt in the background. He stores it directly in the shipper. So that's a huge improvement too, as long as I can find. I guess I don't need to put it in the clear. I just like that how easy it is to find it, but it's easy for Matt to find it too because they're in order.
Chris, wouldn't it be easy enough to find it because you would label it on the outside instead of the inside? And then you might make up that time that you don't like spending by not having to put it into another poly mailer when you go to ship it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess
So
now
you could recoup 10 seconds there.
That's true. Also, I have multiple orders every day. So I guess it's I feel like it would be wasteful to put the 2 poly mailers into another bag, but that's cheaper than the time. So 2 poly bags is not like someone would be angry that it's double packed, but it's just a little bit wasteful. But okay, I guess what I'm saying is I would rather waste packaging than time at this point.
It reminds me of when you talk to like bulk book resellers on eBay who will literally lose 25 cents selling a book at a loss rather than pay somebody to go pick things off the shelf and then remove them from eBay's listings. Amazon's listings. It's cheaper for them to pay to lose 25 cents on the sale.
That makes sense.
So if you split the difference between the cost of your clear plastic wrappers and your poly bags, what's the cost difference?
That's true. Yeah, that's big. I would say if I were to just put it in the poly mailer that it actually ships in. Well, actually, here's another thing. If I were to put it into a flat rate envelope, which is where most of my items ship, it takes up a little more space. So that's also a concern. And those don't sit as nicely in the boxes. But go ahead, Matt.
Plus, you have a lot of multi-quantity orders, right?
Yeah.
That would be like a really beneficial to figure out how to get those together quickly into the right packaging. That's something I struggle with. If I sell 2 pairs of jeans to the same person, it takes me an extra 2 or 3 minutes to try to squeeze them into a padded flat rate, you know?
That's true. Tech and I were just talking about that yesterday, how when you order stuff from Amazon, it comes in a ridiculously oversized box usually because they've decided there's only a few different box sizes they can use, and they would rather send too big of a box than make a box.
Yeah. Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my main constraint was, of course, time with shipping.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since that, I started putting it directly to the polymer that ships out. It works so much better. And then I just like label the SKU number on it. So when I grab it, just slap the postage, done, and it saves so much time.
Okay, I think I might try that. I've never put it directly in the shipping mailer, but I think that saves a lot of time. Also, if the shipping mailer is just a little bit bigger, how big is that, Mark? Is it 10 by 13 or 9 by 12? You're on mute.
What was the second one that you said?
What was the size of your poly mailer?
I have the 2 sizes, the 12 by 15 and the smaller one for t-shirts for 8 by 12, I think.
Okay. I'm gonna order a medley and get an idea. Like maybe because 10 by 13 is bigger than the padded flat. I mean, the flat rate envelope, but you could squish it into it, no problem. So I'm wondering, it's easier to put something into a bigger bag than to cram it into a small bag. So, these are the kind of things that I think if you think about this over the entire structure of your business, everything, like how do I save time shipping? Like if you think about how much time you waste driving to the post office versus having a pickup, or, if you move stuff into your house and it's in different places in your house and you're walking back from room to room, that's a huge waste too. So all these things are essentially what we're doing today is we're talking about things you can do to constrain your time, constrain your space, and that equals more efficiency. So maybe let's go with Travis. Travis, can you chat? What's something that you can remove or clean up so that things can move more efficiently?
Yeah, for me, I'm trying to figure out my sourcing a little bit better.
Okay.
To streamline that, get more items quicker.
How do you look at that? Because I was trying to figure out how many items I can look through at the bins. I think I can look through 600 items an hour. Go ahead.
Oh, I haven't even thought about it in that way. I guess that's a great way to think about it. How much could I look through an hour? That's a really good.
Yeah, because I was thinking, okay, if I look through 600 pieces an hour, or if I go to like a rag house like Mark, or I go to a estate sale or an auction or a garage sale, if there's two things. How many items are you finding per hour that equal what you need? And then also how many items an hour can you look through? That's why my friend Prince says, why would you ever leave your house when you have your computer? If you contact 10 suppliers, that's thousands of items an hour. There's no way you could look through that as fast as, definitely the fastest way to get supplies to call suppliers, followed by probably the Goodwill outlet, because there's so much stuff there versus a garage sale. You have to drive literally to a different place for the next few things. But Travis, I want you to think about that. How many items are you looking through in an hour? And then yesterday I tried this new process of, I'd like to look up stuff every time I go to improve my reseller Rolodex. And I knew that would take more time, but it takes a lot more time to look up a brand, like tons, almost to the point where it's like, should you even do that? Just look for brands that sell and don't even worry about looking up new brands. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I started saving drafts. When I do find stuff that I like, just save it as a draft, because it's such a time saver for listing that product later down the line, when I grab them. But I think it's just a learning process you have to go through. I can't think of another way to, I found a new brand that I've never heard of that sold immediately for me. And that's worth it in and of itself now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe it is always worth it because you have to look through more things, but then now essentially you are decreasing the time you have to source if you know more brands, because you can just pick up a higher percentage of each item.
Can I offer a thought?
Go ahead.
I do that basically every other time I go sourcing.
Okay.
So I go once and I just pick through the brands that I know are going to sell.
Okay.
And then the next time I go slower and I look stuff up, or I'll take pictures of a bunch of labels and look them up later.
Oh, that's interesting. If you're taking a picture of a label.
I was going to say, I do the same thing. I take pictures of the things I don't know. And then at night I look up for 20 minutes.
Wow, that's a good idea, because if you're sourcing, you might as well source as much as you can, and research is separate. You can
buy while the buying is good.
Buy while the buying is good.
Always.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
No, I agree with that too. But it's just, if you're on time constraint, you research later.
Yeah, that's right.
Like text says, everything is replaceable. You'll find it again later.
That is that's a as an example, if you see a brand you've never heard of and you take a picture of it, you're gonna find it again. You could just leave it there and constrain your capital. I think everyone, what do you guys think of a sourcing budget? Should you have a sourcing budget? Don't spend, or does it not matter? It's whatever you find.
I think buy while the buying is good. Always. Sometimes you're not going to find the stuff, and if you need the stuff, I guess it just depends on who you are also. But like for me and my business, like tomorrow's not guaranteed to be a bunch of good stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think I've ever spent the exact same amount of money every week. You don't know. Sometimes you don't find anything. This is like a really good, I wanted to share this idea with you guys because Hustlebee and Glenn Hustler Hacks stayed with me for a couple of weeks, and I watched them source sneakers. And I remember going to the first 9 stores and they didn't buy anything. And I was like, wow, you guys have tremendous self-restraint. And they're like, yeah, we would rather list less and source more. So what that means is I think they had to source like 36 hours a week just to find like 100 items, but their minimum was like they were looking for $40 profit or higher. So that meant almost the entire day sourcing, looking for these home runs. And then they would go home and they had such few items to list. They would list all of them at home the same day. But it just took I remember thinking, wow, we've been to 9 stores and haven't found a single item and there's 3 of us. We just wasted like $1,000 of time. So I even thought, let's split up. All the 3 of us go to different stores. But they're like, no, that's part of the fun. They never source alone. So like that, Rinzi does that too. They always sources a couple. So that's interesting because maybe they can source longer. Like one of their constraints is they don't want to source alone. Yeah, this is interesting. Ed is saying in the chat that he sees constraints either self-imposed or imposed by, I guess, things that are outside of your control. Things you can control, things you can't control. This is good too because you can artificially cut off anything. Like I don't work past 5. That's why Robin's. I want to work 5 hours a day on my eBay store. That really struck me because I think a lot of people don't think about that. They just work the entire day. At least people that are doing this full time, they don't cut off anything. Let's go with Frank. Can you chat?
How's it going?
How's it going? What are you working on?
Is that okay with the noise in the background?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay. 2021, man, it's been crazy so far. A lot of things going on, but as far as constraints, what I found that works for me is if I want to be home by 5 or something, I can't just rely on my own discipline. I got to schedule something that I have to be there for. So what I've grown to enjoy is actually, I got to drop my son up at school and pick him up. And in between there is like 6 hours. And so I'm literally waking up, he wakes us up at 6, we leave at 7, we get there at 8, I get to work at 8:30. I have to leave here at 2:30, go pick him up at 3, then we drive home, we get home a little bit before 4. It's like I'm driving for like, 2 hours a day. But that constraint actually makes me more productive.
Yes.
And now the challenge is, okay, how do I make the time in the car productive as well? So I'm like trying to figure out different things. I don't want to like go crazy, but now I have to be home because I have to pick him up, so, and now even on the days where he doesn't have school, I'm finding myself leaving at the same exact time without even thinking about it. So, it's like an environment thing, like if you want, like you probably wouldn't wake up when you do every single day if you didn't have this call, and I think those things,
yeah, that's right.
It's just smart. If you want to eat better, then throw out all the junk food in your house. You know what I mean? It's like, these things are, if you want to list more, if you, I don't know, there are creative ways of doing those things. And that's really where I'm focusing a lot of my time.
You nailed it.
There's a lot. Yeah. So.
No, you nailed it with the don't rely on your own self-discipline. How hard is it to like why would you fill your house with junk food? It would be so hard to stop if you didn't want to eat junk food. It'd be so hard to constrain yourself if you had a big bowl of cookies in the middle of your living room. How are you not going to eat one each time you walk by? That's so hard. But the the discipline, get rid of discipline, just have it set up that I don't need discipline to show up to this call.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a problem overspending, then don't take any cards and just take cash of the exact amount you want to spend, no more, no less. Like things like that. Like these are, it's like some of these things just come to my mind, but then there's more difficult things you're trying to figure out. And that's where, I think someone was saying one time, to spend time thinking, and dwelling on issues, and things will come to your mind. But you have to have it, there has to be some sacrifice in order to get something that you want, so.
I love that. Don't just do something, stand there. I love the looking at the constraints, because what you just mentioned is like the formula for a lot of business people. Like, I was looking at Sarah Blakely. She has 4 kids and she runs Spanx. So it's like she runs a company with thousands of employees and has 4 kids. Her day is like really disciplined to get all that stuff done. It's like, it's amazing. There's no way you could wake up with no plan and do both of those things. It's just too much stuff. But I love it because I'm going to be doing that too. Eventually I'm going to be driving my kid. And I think that artificial constraint, you have to pick them up, you have to drop them off, you just start, you get in the grind mode, you get a lot done. Let's see, that's true. You can't leave your kid at school overnight, Robin says, that's a good constraint. You have to pick them up. Let's go with Brian. Brian, good morning. What kind of constraints can you add?
Good morning. Actually, yesterday, I've been driving to the post office every day with quite a bit of orders, and I waste like 30 minutes a day. So yesterday I held down my postman and talked to him for several minutes, and he's going to start picking up starting today. And so I'm going to use what like Tech does. I always have a drink, a Gatorade, and maybe a gift card every quarter or something. And just that, will save me 30 minutes a day. So that's going to be a big help. Kind of the other thing, I hired a VA through that website that you were talking about last week. And so right now I'm going through the process of training them, and they're doing a pretty good job. And it's just, I guess it's just going through like exactly how I want it and spending that time. Like, I guess the difference between like this and Hammock is like we have a daily Zoom call where we meet and go over things, and actually share my screen and they share theirs. And every day we're ironing out these issues where like when I was using Hammock, I was, communicating through somebody, but it just seemed like the problems were very slow to get fixed, if ever fixed. So I think as that gets fine tuned, the number of listings that they can create should just go up and pay for itself. So those are 2 improvements that I'm implementing right now.
So this is great. I think one of the biggest constraints people have is putting together the drafts. So this is combining the picture and the picture and then the description, item specifics. And I do a check-in, check-out process. So because they build drafts while I sleep, which is kind of the idea, I say, okay, computer number 1 is ready. It has this many drafts. Can you guys let me know in the morning if there was any issues, and also how many you completed? And also let me know how many you're doing per hour. So the idea is I want 30 an hour drafts to be made. And I was telling them, okay, so what I want the process to be is I want it to be easily done in 1 minute. So I want 60 an hour to be possible, but you're not a robot. I'm not expecting you to work 8 hours straight making 60, but maybe 30 an hour. And then you guys can take whatever breaks, have a lunch. And so that constraint, I was telling them, okay, I have a VA. It's very cheap. It's $100 a week. So I asked them, are you guys comfortable with this pace? And I did it. They did it. The screen share also. Now I don't actually Zoom them or Skype them anymore. We just have the 2 daily check-ins. But now my brain is like, okay, I want to maximize this. So I want to send 240 a day to the VA so they can be maxed out. And I think I could do that. I could have 1 photographer, 1 describer, 1 VA, and knock out 240 a day. And that's like pretty efficient.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, like I'm kind of seeing that. Like I have someone that's doing photographs and measurements. I'm currently doing the describing on the spreadsheet, kind of like what you have, and I share that with them. But I think eventually I could also outsource that, the describer position. And I'll have to scale up a little bit slower because as we've talked about, if how many can I get up, how many space, and all those constraints will come into play. But just to see, like I was talking to Tech on the Facebook group through my messages yesterday, just seeing what's possible. Like I think that's one of the values of this call, like I were talking about yesterday, is that the brainstorming and seeing what's possible, it kind of opens horizons versus you just kind of get stuck in a rut. So that's a benefit, obviously, of this call.
Yeah, I think that it always challenges you to make sure that the way that you're doing is the fastest that you can do with your situation. Everyone's situation is different. Everyone has different equipment, different categories. It's cool to look at that. Let's go with Christine. Christine, good morning. What could you constrain?
My schedule. I have, and my mindset, as Ed was saying, my mindset is I don't have a job. I have a job with my, but my mindset is if my mom calls, I'm flexible. I'm out of here. My schedule stops. If my sister needs me, then I'm gone. So it's well, I'll do it after Kenneth leaves. Because when my husband's a chaplain, a hospice chaplain, so he's in and out of the house all day. And when he does come home, of course, the greeting, hello, how are you, breaks my concentration. So that's a huge constraint for me.
Could you be done by then?
Oh, no, because sometimes he doesn't leave till 10 a.m. and then he gets home at 1.
No, I mean I see.
And then he leaves at 2 or 3, and then he gets back by 6. It varies because his patients are all different. They're different time schedules. And I mean, really, technically, the guy only works like 4 hours a day, so he's home a lot. The other constraint I have is well, I'm actually not looking at the constraints that I can put on myself to help me be more productive. But one of the negative constraints is my learning curve with the new trend or my new category, my new niche. So that's one constraint. But what I was doing when I first started this call was I did have a schedule and I was actually better. So I think and I stopped doing it for whatever reason. I think I'm going to go back to the schedule, and it helped me a whole lot.
I really, whenever I'm not done at night, my wife asks this question, which is, what do you do all day? Why are you not done? Don't you work all day? How are you not done already? So that's a good question, because you could be kind of, but with him having a random schedule, that's difficult.
Mm-hmm. And then I have all the housework and all my dog, my daily brushings, It's just a lot. It's like, I mean, how did I do it whenever I had a full-time job and I was out of the house?
I know, that's they say if you want something done, give it to a busy person. I wonder if that's because they just have already figured, I think the most powerful person in the world is an executive assistant, because those people, they have no idea what's on whoever they're helping, that person's definitely squirrel brain. They're like, hey, go do this. And then they've got to go figure out how to do that. And then they've got to really be able to focus. Otherwise, how can you manage somebody's squirrel brain?
Yeah.
I love it. So Daniel's saying he had a surprise constraint because he uses his SIM card in the modem in his storage unit. So when he does that, he can't receive any texts. And so he's focused. I thought about that too. Not only could I use the same SIM card in the router, but I could have the photographer use my phone to take photos. Then I wouldn't have my phone for 8 hours a day. And I mean, you could remove the distraction. There'd be no cookies.
No cookies.
So yes, Ed doesn't have his phone in his office. That's huge. It's a big time saver if you get done.
Hey, Chris.
Yep.
I wanted to add something.
Go ahead.
a minute ago about talking about the schedule, and a couple things that are helping me because I'm kind of in the same place. But what has helped me is like hard. You know, I'm going to start at this time. Like my wife has to have me out of the bedroom because she works from home by 8, so I have to be done by 8, and then I work in exercise at a certain time of day. And then also the mental thing. It came to me the other day. I was watching a video that you made about we worked for eBay kind of thing, and I've been in commission sales before and production jobs before. And what two numbers that I look at now are how many items have I posted and what's my expected net profit on those items. So if I want to, and I sell everything. So if I want to make $400 a day, I know that at the end of the day, if I look on my spreadsheet and I don't have $400, I have to list 2 more items. That happened yesterday. And what I've found is that my number keeps going up. I started out with 100. I blew through that. Then it was 200. And now I'm going to crank it up to 300. So, and really when you look at it, what we are, we're kind of like independent contractors for eBay. If you look at it that way, you say, okay, well, but we can make as much as we want. So if you look at it that way, you think, well, if I want to make $500, I gotta do that today. But if I only want to make a couple $100, I got something important that I want to do today with my family. Like, I'm good with making $200 today. Then do that, by 12 o'clock, and then go, watch the ball game or whatever you need to do, and not feel guilty about it.
That's really, really good advice because you're paid like an independent contractor. You get a 1099. So I mean, this is the it is exactly like that. And I think a lot of people treat eBay like it's a minimum wage job. Like I show up, so I should get paid. That's definitely not how it works.
Yeah,
commission based.
It kind of made me go back. I'm a reformed car salesperson, so the thing that you had to look at, because it was all commission. That's the same thing that we're on right now. We're all commission, right? If you're full time. So the thing you had to look at, you had to be disciplined to look at every day. What am I doing as far as activity? How many people am I talking to? How much per sale am I making? And that way you know how much your paycheck's going to be at the end of the week. What I realized, it's the same thing. It's just different numbers. So it's how many items did I put up? What's my profit margin on those items? So
Paul,
and then I don't feel
amazing.
Guilty at the end of the day, because I was finishing it like 7 o'clock at night. I was like, man, I feel guilty, but yet my wife wants me to spend time with her, and I want to spend time with her. But now I don't have to feel guilty because I know, hey, I made $200. I posted that much. Eventually it will sell, but all you can really control is your activity. So if you put it in on the front end, like the pipeline, it's going to come out. You just have to make sure you're putting it in every day.
This is really important, Paul, because if you've ever sold cars before, and I did that for 4 years, it teaches you literally, like, you go out to lunch, it takes time out of your potential to earn money. If you hang out with your family, it comes directly, like, because you could work in the car business, called bell to bell. You could work bell to bell 7 days a week at the expense of every single thing in your life. You could, because you can make money forever. And people in the chat are also mentioning farmers can do the same thing. There is no done. You could just keep going the entire day, all day, 24/7, 365 days a year. But here's the interesting thing. When I was in the car business, I was complaining. I was like, hey, I want to get into the finance department, or I want to be a GM, or I want to move out of sales. And the owner said, you do not want to do that. Right now, you can do whatever you want. You control your own schedule. If I promote you to manager or sales manager, I see your future. Divorced, overweight, you're going to miss every single weekend, every single night, every single holiday for the rest of your life. That sacrifice is too high for you just to make a few $1,000. That doesn't matter. Like, you have the best job here. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want, leave whenever you want. You can take a day off whenever you want. That's not the same as everybody else here. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry, I muted you.
What I had to realize is, what am I okay with? Am I okay with making $200 today? Yes, I am, and spending time with my wife and with my sons. Yeah, I'm good with that because time is a value that there's value there. What's the most important commodity that we have? It's not money. It's time and health. With time and health, you can make money, but you can't get time back.
That's right. Or health. Oh, sometimes you can, but wow, that's really good. Those constraints, time and health are the ones that really kill you. Like if you have limited mobility and limited energy, that really makes it difficult to do anything. Let's see. In the chat, they're asking about, can you pay a VA hourly or do you have to pay per listing? This is a great thing to think about. You can do either, but you should have an expectation if you do hourly. So as an example, my virtual assistant gets paid $2.50 an hour for 40 hours of work. That's $100 a week. If I were to break that down, I'm trying to get my VA to 30 listings an hour. And that ends up being less than 10 cents per listing. So I could do either way. I could say you get paid 10 cents a listing to combine it, or you get paid per hour, per piece or per hour. And contrast that to Hammock to give you guys, or Cellhound or any VA service, they're going to charge between $1 and $2 per listing. If you get a VA to do it and train them, it's going to cost between 10 cents and 25 cents. It's a dollar cheaper to do it yourself, but that's what you're paying for. Also, if you're working with a service, you won't have the communication. Is obviously you can just you can just message your worker, talk to them directly all day. So we have what are called errors. So if there's an error, they send a screenshot to me and I go and fix it. Sometimes the SKU is confusing, or they're like, this is a jacket, but it says it's in the sweater category. Can you double check? I just review those in the morning. That makes it, or they don't understand something weird like, yeah, there's a brand that has petite tall. And I'm like, that's so confusing. What is it? What is petite tall? That makes no sense. That would be like slim husky as the brand. It's just very confusing. So anyway, they had a question. They emailed me saying, is this petite or is it big and tall? It's confusing. Or what is this? So we determined that it didn't make any sense. It was a petite top, but long. And generally petite items are shorter because the person is shorter. It's very confusing. So it's almost like just a regular item. I was thinking, actually, what we came up with is it's just a size small. We just put in the title, this measures like a women's small. So just don't worry about what the brand called it, petite tall, because that doesn't make sense. Let's see. Let's go with Eric. Eric, welcome to the call.
Thank you. I'm a newbie, Chris. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a newbie to the group. Literally just found you last week and got through the training course and everything, but so I'm in information overload right now. My wife and I, you can see her in the background, we work full-time jobs. So that's kind of like the gift and the curse. Is what I put in the chat. It's like we work 40 plus hours a week. Currently right now, we don't get out as much as like get into stores and sourcing and everything, but we buy pallets. So we're going through, and we buy through Wholesale Ninjas and some others. And going through your course, you kind of changed my mind a little bit here as far as like being able to focus on one niche. So that's where we're kind of in that spiral right now. So I would say, in addition to that, like our biggest constraint is going through this curve of finding our niche and finding what products we want to really get into.
Thank you for sharing that. I would say that liquidation is a different game because the niching down is just processing. You just get whatever you get and then you do the best you can at processing it. And that's what the liquidation game is. I've tried that. And I know the main reason why I failed now. I didn't have enough space. If I had the proper amount of space, I could have done liquidation much better. In pallets, you just need room to sort. I didn't have enough room. It's too expensive in California to, well, not just for me, it's too expensive because it's a big step between storage unit and the warehouse space. So That is a really, really good, really, really good thought of also the information constraint. Like, Tim Ferriss says everyone should go on a low information diet. And I kind of think that's true. Kind of only learn the thing that you are working on right now.
Yeah.
Just because if you learn 3 different things, you will do none.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I've been following tons of other people out there that's like teaching the things you're teaching.
Yep.
And I've made an effort, like I've put all that aside. I'm just focusing on this group and what you've been teaching, so I can just kind of focus on one thing.
And I think the best way to do that is to be aware of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see how somebody else is doing it and see if it even applies.
Yeah.
So, yesterday in our call, Tech was saying the thing he's most proud of this group is that people do listen to lots of different ideas, but over time, everyone in the group is becoming less of a squirrel. Even though there's more and more ideas, it sort of just reminds you, okay, there's a million ideas. You can't do them all. Somebody's asking if I'll need a warehouse of 30,000 items. I will not. I can cap out at 40,000 items in a storage unit. Oh, I'm going to try to. Maybe it won't work, but in theory, on paper, it looks like I can get to that point. So this is great. Michael in the chat is saying he has an abundant amount of space, so liquidation works well. He lists every single item, but the constraint is making sure there's no dead pile before the next pallet is ordered. That makes sense, because you could easily have the habit of 5 or 10 items from each pallet not getting listed. After a year, that's thousands of items probably everywhere. So you've got to process it. And I had also this tip from Mark Meyer. My friend does these auctions, and he has a Gaylord in the corner of his warehouse. Actually, it's not in the corner. I'm sorry, it is in the corner. It's in the front corner of his warehouse is an empty Gaylord. Everything that he doesn't know what to do with goes into that Gaylord, and somebody picks it up every week to go to the flea market. So he doesn't have, he's done. He processes the entire thing. If he doesn't know what to do with it, he goes into that bin, and then it motivates him to try to list everything. And also there's a final call. If it doesn't get processed, it goes in that bin and somebody takes it to the local flea market to sell. So Florian is saying that this sold for this much on YouTube videos. I used to do that because those videos get a lot of views. That's why people make them, but it's confusing because you can't find the exact same items as that person. It's probably okay to listen to increase your reseller Rolodex, but it is confusing because then somebody told you that Beanie Babies sell well and Legos sell well and cosmetics sell well and discontinued health products go well. So now you make a stop at CVS for 3 hours and look for what home runs. That when you add all those up, your whole day is gone. Ed is doing a base plus bonus per listing. Good idea, Ed. I will do that. I'm going to tell my VAs they get paid $250 an hour, but they get a bonus at 30 listings per hour and more. Vianney, do you have something to contribute? I'm going to put her on mute. Let's go with Patty. Patty, good morning.
Hey.
What can you reduce?
I put myself, when you guys brought up about, I can't remember her name, where she said she only has like 5 hours to work.
Yep. Robin. That was Robin, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm like, that's a good idea, because I was giving myself like all day, all night.
Yep.
And so now I said, all right, that's it. Like 3 o'clock, I have to stop, because that's when kids start coming home.
Mm-hmm.
I got to do dishes. I got to do laundry. I got to cook dinner. Somebody's got to go to soccer, etc. So I did that yesterday. And then I did my 15 listings before lunch. I was able to cook lunch. I was able to do laundry. I was able to get everything done, And so I've told everybody, like, all right, if you need me to do something, like, you have to schedule it with me. And so like as far as like my volunteer work or other thing, I said, all right, you got 2 hours a day and that's in the afternoon and it has to be scheduled. So I've just given myself like time limits now. Like everything for eBay is done before 3 p.m. So I want my listings done before lunch.
So you know what? You always scare me about parenting, Patty. And what scares me the most is meal planning. I don't know how to do that part. Like I feel like everything else is the same from all the books I've read, all the child care facilities I've visited. But the meal prep, that scares me because it's like I like variety in food, but that takes so much time.
Well, I had to laugh at my husband the other day because he was like, oh, he wanted like stir fry. So I printed him out the recipe and I'm like, all right, well here. And he's like, well, where is this stuff? I'm like, it's all in the kitchen, go get it. And he started making it and he was like maybe 15, 20 minutes into it. And he was like, this is way too complicated. This is way too many ingredients. And I was like, yes, honey. I'm like, that's called Asian cooking. There's a lot to it. I'm like, it's not quick and simple. Quick and simple is crock pot, dump it all in, 6 hours later, it's done. So Pinterest will be your friend. Just get on Pinterest, Chris, and start pinning recipes that are simple and quick and easy. It's probably the easiest thing in the world to do.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's a good subject for Constraint. You know, like all the bodybuilders, all the like super health nuts, they eat the same thing every day.
That's right. That's so true. That's so true.
I think growing up, we did the same thing. It was always like my mom had 4 or 5 different things and that's all she made.
Yeah, that makes sense. Otherwise, how do you, bodybuilders eat basically 4 things. They're just like, grilled chicken, broccoli, sweet potatoes over and over and over and over again. You don't need a secret formula. That's like, and they're the fittest people on earth. Well, not necessarily fittest, but most control of their body. And I think today's conversation, what the best eBay constraint is when are you done? Is it 20 listings? Is it 30 listings? If you know, then you can actually, I could tell my wife, yes, I'll be done after I launch these listings. That's all I have left today. Or I have to ship a few more items. I'll be home late. Or you know what? I got done early today. So let's go for a walk. Well, you actually know. Go ahead.
I set it at, I'm doing 15 a day. Because I figure if I keep getting, if I'm saying I have to do 15 a day before lunch, then if I start getting it down where I'm faster than 15, then it's going to go up, then I'll go to 18, then I'll go to 20, so it's just a matter of, keeping those up. The other thing too, is I went through my store and I got rid of everything that wasn't clothing or like a replenish. I kept clothing and replenishables in there. Everything else, I took it and I've chucked it all into bins and I scheduled a garage sale and it's just I'll go out in the garage sale. I'm not dealing with it anymore.
That's another constraint. Maybe at the end of the month, whatever doesn't get sold, you have a monthly garage sale.
Well, here I can't do a monthly garage sale. We still have, it might be a heat wave of 30 degrees today, which I had to convince my kids to wear a coat to school because they were so hot, it was so warm outside. But yeah, that's one of the things is if it's not selling and it's not clothing and it's not a replenishable, then it's getting put in a garage sale for the spring.
Well, one more thought with Robin is saying, are the bodybuilders who eat the same thing every day happy? It depends because that's their job. If your job is to be as healthy as possible, then that's why I don't think it makes sense to okay, I can tell you for sure, I'm way happier making a ton of money reselling than selling things I like. Way happier. It's not even close. Way more happy making more money than just searching for treasures. In fact, I'm so numb that when I find $100 home run, my blood pressure doesn't even go up. I don't care. It would have to be like a $5,000 incredible, mind-blowing Beatles record. Like, somebody found one that was like worth $20,000. It would have to be that level for me to really jump up and down at this point. I'd rather just have what Tex says, no news is good news, just like peaceful, stress-free reselling. But yeah, and I do think that if you were to eat oatmeal every day, like oatmeal for breakfast, salad for lunch, when you do have a meal that you choose, it's going to taste a lot better than all 3 meals eating out. That goes back to the pleasure versus personal development thing. You're going to be happier. You can definitely eat healthy and have variety, but you're going to be happy with self-improvement over anything else. Let's go with Nick. Nick, how can you constrain your time?
Good morning, everyone. I think for me, over the past week, I've been really working on just optimizing my workspace. It's tough because I am working out of the house, and I have a shed that I keep some of the storage of inventory in, and then I have stuff I have to get listed in the office down here, and I don't really have a packing station, so I'm like packing in the living room or in the dining room. So right now it's really optimizing the workspace. I've been getting a lot of the shelving up and that sort of thing kind of at the house. But yeah, over this weekend, we just like the room I'm working in right now is like a complete disaster. So over the weekend, we pretty much emptied everything out, put in new shelving. I got 3 or 4 shelves in here right now to get everything cleaned up, and then try to focus on what I need to get listed, and then I got a lot of excess I just need to clear out and purge. So
I put that in my video last night, which is a tidy space is a nice constraint too. Like, get rid of everything that's not related to your. The only thing I have on my desk in front of me is an hourglass, just to remind me that the time is running out. I literally look at this and I'm just thinking, this is a half an hour time, or a half an hour hourglass. And sometimes I just see what I can do in half an hour, and I don't have anything else on my desk, a plant. So that's just like a nice reminder, because everything else would distract me. I will tell you this. I don't like my chair. If I had a better chair, I think it would improve my productivity a little bit. I've yet to find one that I don't hate. So that's something that, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, man, I just have to give you a lot of props, because you are just so regimented in kind of your activities, and it's good. So
yeah, I feel like I am getting there, but I think I like it more, as odd as that sounds. I think I like being regimented more than quote unquote free, doing whatever I want.
Yeah.
Maybe to each their own. Some people, actually, let me back up. I want to be regimented until noon. I like that concept. Half my life regimented, the other half do whatever I want. Ed, thoughts?
I just want to go back to something you said a couple minutes ago, because I think it was super important. Are you going to sell things you like, or are you going to make money?
Yeah. Well, I think you can sell things you like literally as a hobby. It's not work.
Right.
But
are you hobbying or are you business?
Right. I guess, okay. I think you should just separate it. Just think about it. Is this for fun, or is this to make money? If it's for fun, like for example, the Pokemon cards at McDonald's. That to me, I just decided, you know what, this is fun. This is not for profit, because it's definitely not related to clothing. So like if I still haven't been to the Alameda Flea Market, which is in California. It's supposed to be amazing. It's once a month. I should probably go to that. Actually, it hasn't been, obviously the last year hasn't been open, but I think, like, I've never been to that mile-long garage sale. All that stuff sounds so cool to me, but make that an event for fun. Do that for vacation. Don't do that as your day job. Yeah. Christina's saying she's a lazy eater. She likes to eat the same things over and over again. I mean, a lot of people do that. I waste a lot of time eating. That's my biggest constraint right now, is thinking about, I remember when I was in the car business, Paul, I was like a 20 to 30 car guy. So I made probably 15 to 20 grand. And there was a guy, that made $55,000 a month. I have never seen somebody at a job make that much, really. And he told me, he's like, Chris, you will never be as successful as me with your current setup. You can't be, because you waste 2 to 3 hours a day thinking about food. You can't be successful because I eat the same thing every day. There's no way you could reach my level of productivity. And it makes sense, because he's like, I think about what socks I wear every day. That's the level that I'm at. And it's funny, because when I signed up for it, I was like, I want to sit next to that guy, just because I want to copy him. I'm not going to be able to copy exactly what he does, but he obviously has amazing habits. And so just being around him, made me the second best salesperson in the group. But that guy, man, he had everything dialed in: food, socks, clothes, his schedule, what car he drove, everything was clockwork. And he took 2 months vacation with his kids every year. And I remember people saying, like, I don't think I've taken 2 months of vacation with my kids in my life. Like, looking like pure undivided attention with his kids every year. So that's where I got the idea too, for 2 months, because he's like, I don't want to take 10 months of vacation and 2 months of work. It just doesn't feel right. So he does it the other way. But man, he was like, he looked at how much time I spent on food a day, because he's one of those people like Tech, where he observes everything, and he's like, bro, you spend so much time eating. And that's hard. He watches everyone, because he would pick up little tidbits, and that's also where I learned the receptionist or the executive assistant is like the kingpin in every organization. They know what's going on with everything. So he used our executive assistant and receptionist to find out what was going on everywhere in the store, and knew where all the deals were and which people to work with that were easier, which mechanics fix things faster. I mean, that's what you get to that level of. He was selling 2 to 3 cars a day, which is a lot in the car business, every day. Yeah, the culture. So let's see. Anybody else have any constraints they want to share?
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the sourcing, because one of my issues is I've been doing a lot of research, and to me, I think I'm spending, well, I know I'm spending too much time, because once I start researching and finding stuff, then I find another thing, then I find another, then I turn around and I've been looking at stuff for 2 hours, and I don't need to I know I don't need to spend that much time. So it's almost like a video game to me, because I start, oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. And I just keep moving on and on. And I guess since you switched it and you've been selling more common things, I've been trying to go in that direction. But, I guess you could spend too much time researching also.
That's the number one killer. So one more thought, and then let's go to Matt.
I had a thought. Time can't be a restraint, because it's finite. It can't go up. It can't go down. You can't change it. It cannot be a restraint. It is not a variable. It is constant. What can be a restraint is manpower within that allotted amount of time. Like for me, my restraint would be employees. I got one employee. If I could really benefit from having another employee, because then I could up the supply, get more going. But I could blame it on time. I could say my restraint is time, because I can only do so much in one day. It's just me. But that's kind of taking the victim way out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, look at me, poor me, blah, 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 right? Time. But time isn't your restraint. It's becoming able to to gain more manpower, like employees, hiring.
Yeah. So that's great, because my friend just passed his test so he could become a loan officer. And I'm like, okay, cool. What are there examples of loan officers that are successful that you could copy, or like, what does it look like? He's like, oh, there's a guy that works at Wells Fargo locally, and he does $1 million a year. So I'm like, okay, cool. What does that look like? And he's like, oh, he looks like everybody else, but he has 5 employees. And I'm like, that's the difference. Like, he has 5 people who make more money than they cost working for him. That's it. So that guy might not work at all. It's possible he doesn't even have to go into work. And so he's not working the hardest, but he's making the most out of each hour. And yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, that's right.
I feel like
Time is
most
finite.
people,
Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like most people don't think of it that way. They think of it as, oh, poor me. I'm victimizing myself about I don't have enough time.
Yeah.
But you could get other people to do the things that you don't want to do or that take the longest amount of time, so it's a whole different way of thinking about it because most people do victimize themselves like that.
Yeah, that's true. That
Let me chime in on this.
Yep.
If I could, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
I know we're running a little on time, but I'm using Hammock right now for about 20 a day for shit I don't want to do. The stuff that bogs people down, like Scott, I think, was talking about.
Yeah.
And if I took my time at $50 an hour and what I would spend at 10 to 12 minutes minimum per item trying to do research on stuff when you're getting stuff in, give it to them. I figured out my dollars and hours to do 20 items would cost me, or I could make $240-ish, by utilizing my time in the correct way.
Yeah.
Give it to them and it cost me $2. Who cares? Or $29 to free myself up for half a day.
These
Cost me
are
$29.
I actually think that there's only two things that we should be doing. One is sourcing, so getting the best stuff into your store. The other one is double checking the listing before it goes live.
Absolutely.
That is 100% worth your time. It takes a minute, but then it sells faster. You can sell for more money. You become an expert. So you can outsource everything else. Yeah.
You can take a picture of a number on a box, send it to them, let them do all the research, let them fill in all the things down below. I come back and then I'll snipe a picture and or take a good picture or whatever else it is, but it's minutes involved, not 10, 15, 20 doing the research and all the rest of the stuff involved in it. It's making life really simple.
Yeah, that's right.
For hard goods, totally different with clothes. That's a different deal.
That's true. Yeah, these are all these constraints: space, time, money. You think about how they affect your business. Elaine was saying she wanted to be on a buying pause while she got her stuff listed. That's important. You don't necessarily need to stop buying, but you need to list more than you buy. So if you have 100-item death pile and you buy 5 things a day, but you list 10 things a day, you'll be fine. In 20 days, that pile will be gone. Only listing five extra a day. Maybe that is the goal. I like that. 5 a day of your squirrel pile. That doesn't seem so much, but that would make a dent because every month, 150 of those items would be gone. Also, last thought, we'll end it on this, is the junk lot drawer. I didn't know those were a real thing. So you can look that up on eBay and see people selling piles of junk. Fantastic sell-through rate. That works. People like the treasure hunt. It's like an estate sale or garage sale without leaving your house. So if you guys have junk, maybe you can start selling those lots together. But appreciate everyone's time. If you guys are listening on YouTube, please put a constraint in the comment section below so I can get an idea of what people need to do. But essentially, I think the things that I got the most from this call are people spend a lot of time researching. That's probably the biggest one. People have limited time. People have limited space. People have limited capital. That's the main ones. But everyone have an awesome day.